I have known my entire life, from a very young age, for literally as long as I can remember, that I wanted to be an artist. And now in my mid 30s, I am finally taking the leap and doing that. But despite the fact that I was very creative as a child, always drawing and just desperate to just create anything I could in any way that I could, and despite the fact that, my grandpa was an artist, he had a career as an artist. My grandma was very creative and artistic. She was a seamstress and, well, is a seamstress and like a set costume designer for plays and stuff. And then other family members were creative in like the sense that they did scrapbooking and stuff like that, card making. Despite the fact that I had all of this creative energy in the adults in my life as a child, I received mixed signals constantly about whether or not it was viable for me to pursue my dream of being an artist. And because of that, I am now, as an adult, having to unlearn a lot of the things that I was told as a child about what it is to be an artist, about whether or not being an independent artist with like a studio practice and painting and selling original works is a viable career option. I have now gotten to the point in my life where I've decided, regardless of whether or not it is viable, I am doing it because I need to. But as a child, as a lot of children are, the adults in my life were positive about the art that I was creating. They gave me good feedback. But I feel like the feedback that I got from the adults in my life, especially from my grandpa, who was an animator for a long time, he would always encourage me to create more. He would always tell me that, you're really talented, but you can't become an artist. You can't be an artist. You can't just create art. You can't paint things or draw things and then just sell your originals and have that be your career. That's just not realistic, is what he would tell me. And I think that the reason he did that is because, I don't know specifically. I think it's because that didn't work out for him. And I think that he, in his mind, thought that by crushing my dreams, essentially, which I don't think he saw it that way, but I think he thought that he was being helpful and that he was just being pragmatic, that he was saving me from disappointment in the future or, a life of hardship and struggle. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, his advice did not save me from any of that. And instead, it just led me really frustrated and really confused. And he would always encourage me to pursue creative and artistic jobs and careers that were, in his mind, more stable, more of a, sure thing. Like being an animator or a graphic designer or stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with those jobs. Like, obviously, I'm not crapping on those jobs. But it wasn't what I personally wanted to do. But because I was told for my entire life that what I wanted to do wasn't possible, I kind of internalized that and just decided, well, he has been doing art his whole life, so he knows what he's talking about. And so when I eventually went to college, I went for graphic design initially. I hated it. And so I then started going for 3D animation, and I did enjoy a lot of that, but it just didn't feel right because it wasn't right and it didn't stick. And while I never ended up graduating with a degree in anything creative, the jobs that I went on to do afterwards all involved some type of creativity, but none of those jobs felt right either. And if I'm being perfectly honest, none of those jobs lasted very long. And the reason that, well, one of them was fine. One of them lasted a bit longer and didn't end for the same reason as the other ones did. But the other jobs that I had all ended. Ended up having to quit because I was experiencing really severe, like medical issues. And now that I look back on that, I really think that that was my body yelling at me that this wasn't right. That that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. That wasn't in alignment with me, with who I was, and with what I was meant to do. That is a whole other story. But basically, as a child, I think at some point I kind of stopped trying to create my own art. I stopped drawing, and, well, not entirely, but like I stopped as much as I was. I stopped drawing as much as I was. I stopped painting as much as I was. But just, okay, just to give you an example of how desperate I was to just create in any capacity as a child, I think it was either third or fourth grade. I think it was fourth grade. It was whatever class in California that you learn about, like the California missions. I think it's fourth grade. But I grew up in poverty, so we didn't have a lot of extra things. I mean, like, I had toys and stuff, but we didn't really ever buy anything. Most of the stuff that I received or that I owned, I got from like birthdays and like Christmas and stuff like that, but like just kind of on random whims. We didn't really ever buy much. But I remember at one point I was so desperate to just create something, and I didn't really have any crafting supplies or anything. That I don't recommend doing this, children. If your children are watching, I do not recommend doing this. Just ask for what you need. I was in a different situation, and asking for what I wanted or needed was not really a viable option. But I told my mom that I had a class project, and that I needed all of these crafting supplies because I had to create this really elaborate like diorama or something for my class. But that was untrue, and I really was just desperate for art supplies. And yeah, we ended up having like an open house thing at my school, and I remember my mom going up to my teacher and being like, because at the open house thing, they were like displaying the different projects and stuff we had done throughout the year. And I remember my mom going up to my teacher and being like, oh, like, when are you guys going to display the like dioramas or whatever I told her it was? And I just remember being panicked because I was just like, no. Where am I going with this story? I really don't know. What was the point? Okay, well, as a child, I was creative and desperate to be creative. And then I feel like that was kind of sucked out of me by the adults in my life. They didn't discourage me from creating and being artistic, but they did discourage me from my dream, which then kind of caused me to discourage myself from continuing to create art. And then I moved on to artistic creative endeavors that didn't involve me creating anything original. So I started doing scrapbooking, and I still love scrapbooking, but it drove me away from what I now believe I am meant to be doing with my life, which really sucks because I feel like a lot of people I feel like a lot of people like go through the majority of their adolescence not having any idea what they want to do with their life. And I feel like I was lucky in the regards that I always knew. But unfortunately, it was not really supported. And that impacted my entire life so far. It left me confused about the path that I was supposed to take. It left me desperate to find a solution, because up until probably like November of 2025 of last year, it literally hadn't occurred to me since I was a child that me being an artist was an option. It took until I was 34 years old for me to realize, oh, I can just do what I want. Oh, the things I was told as a child, those things aren't true. And it honestly, it took a very severe bout of burnout that honestly I don't even know that I am entirely out of yet. That started in probably like February or March of last year of 2025. And I feel like if I had somebody in my life that just saw me for me instead of projecting themselves onto me, they would have seen how much of me was the art that I was creating. I'm not really sure how to word this. I just wish somebody in my life had been genuinely encouraging. And as I started this endeavor to becoming an artist and to just taking the plunge headfirst and deciding that I was just going to be an artist now, I started looking for different opportunities, and I came across one connected to a charity called Give Kids Art. And they do, every year they do like an art auction. So they invite a bunch of different artists to create a piece based on a prompt. They send you like a box of art supplies, you create an art piece, and then they auction it off as a fundraiser for their charity. And what they do is they provide art supplies for underprivileged children. And they're based in California. I'm not sure if they only serve California or if they're expanded past that. But as soon as I saw this, I felt immediately personally connected to all of it. And I immediately knew that that was something that I wanted to be a part of. So I applied, and luckily I was chosen. And it just feels really good as an adult to be providing something, or help, not directly, but helping to provide something that I desperately wished I had as a child. So the box that you saw me unbox was the supplies that they sent. So they send all the artists a box of supplies that is basically the same box that they, like same types of supplies and stuff, like an example box of stuff that they give to children. And the auction is going to be in October. I'm not exactly sure what dates in October, but if you want to check out all of the art that's going to be in the auction, or you want to purchase the work that I end up making, or whatever, just follow me on Instagram, because I'm going to be posting about it there whenever I know when it's happening. But I know that this video has not been super organized or coherent. I didn't really have a plan about what I was going to say. I just knew that this was something that I needed to talk about. And doing this feels like giving younger me what I needed, if that makes sense. Anyway, the prompt that they gave us is what still makes you wonder. And I struggled with this prompt. I've been struggling with this prompt. I've had this box for a month. Yeah, I've had this box for about a month, and the work is due in 2 or 3 weeks. I think like 2 weeks. And so the pieces that you've have been on the screen while I've been talking are kind of like I've just been brainstorming different ideas and stuff. And none of it was really clicking, and none of it was really working. And I started this thought process trying to literally answer the prompt. Like, okay, what makes me wonder? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized there's just too many things to put on the list. And so I was thinking like, okay, well, nature makes me wonder, and space makes me wonder, and the ocean makes me wonder, and like literally everything in life makes me wonder, because there is something to wonder about with everything. And then I realized there is no reason for me to be taking this so like trying to answer it so directly. And I'll explain what I mean in a second, but let me just show you what I've done in here so far. So this is the little sketchbook that came in the box. And I started by drawing some thumbnails of just some like random ideas. So some like forest ideas. This was based off a picture I took in my bedroom, and I thought it would be cool to paint. Then I did like a sketch of it, like a color sketch of it in here, and I just don't really like it. And it's not that I don't like the sketch necessarily, because I do like parts of it, but it was just realized like that's not something I wanted to pursue. And then I just like swatched the materials, and that's something else. But this is the first sketch that I did. And then I did that one, but you guys already saw the process of these. I did the nebula, which actually I really love how that one turned out. And then I just started doing like some random stuff. And then I was like, oh, well, I've been really wanting to paint like circus stuff. So I started doing some sketches of some circus stuff. I was like, well, maybe I want to do circus stuff with like cryptids involved. And then I did some like random little florals down here. And then it dawned on me. And I was like, everything in life makes me wonder. So I can't answer the question from that perspective because it's impossible. But all of the things that I'm listing that make me wonder are things that I eventually want to paint. They're things that I am interested in. Like, they make me wonder enough that I want to explore it in painting. And then it dawned on my little pea brain that just means that no matter what I paint, as long as I am painting with curiosity and interest, it fits the prompt. Duh. So, I am going to be doing something else today. And I am just going to be playing. Just going to be exploring. And I'm just literally going to do an exercise that I saw in a video. I don't remember the name of the channel, but I think it's like soul making for artists or something like that. But basically, I'm going to take a bunch of papers and I'm going to just throw materials on there. Just willy-nilly. Just whatever goes. And then I am going to just see what I see in it. Basically use it as a Rorschach test. Oh. And then whatever my subconscious sees in those is what I'm going to pursue. And I'm going to use that as a jumping off point. Just a creative exercise to continue working on this. But I am going to end this video here. Hopefully the rambling made sense to somebody. Hopefully it was maybe helpful to somebody. But yeah, I feel like I was making this more complicated than it needed to be. And I feel like I do that a lot in life. And honestly, I feel like that tendency is just an extension of what I was told as a child. I feel like my whole life, as far as my creativity and my like art and everything has gone my whole life, I feel like it's just been one long theme of me making everything more complicated than it needs to be, because the path of least resistance, the path I was most interested in, what a roadblock was placed there as a child. So yeah, hopefully this made any sense. But thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Most of the people who have been watching my videos are not subscribed. So if that's you, let's go ahead and do that now, please. I'm just kidding. You can do whatever you want. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. All right, I'm changing my upload schedule to every 2 weeks because every week is just not realistic for me right now. So every 2 weeks. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.